Well, hello, YouTube. Let me get sat down. It is time for the final episode, episode 12 of Alone. And for those of you who are paying attention, you're going to say, but Emirato, what happened to 11? Why is everybody else saying 10? Well, those who are saying episode 10 have not accounted for the internet-only episodes, or at least I think they're internet-only. Since I don't have a regular TV service, I don't know. But between episode 8 and 9, between 8 and 10, or something, whatever, there was an episode that was a rehash of everything prior to Mitch or what's his name, tapping out. And then prior to episode 12, there was another rehash after they tapped out, which revisited everything that Sam and Alan did prior to the final episode. Everything between day 0 and day 54, 56. So, this is for the last 2 days, or whatever it was, which they did a little bit of that revisiting in this episode as well. They start off the episode 12, with a quote from probably one of my favorite presidents. He's in the top 10 anyhow. And that would be Theodore Roosevelt. And the man said, "Courage is not having the strength to go on. It is going on when you don't have the strength." Very smart man. Now this episode starts off with Sam on day 45. The big storm. And he's talking about how he's been there 7 weeks. And how the weather is just so crazy. Well, Sam, you'll need 3 more weeks to equal my time on the island when I was there. And at the same time, Alan is talking about just laying around the shack. I'm going to stay in his shelter because of the weather. We move on to day 48. And still with the storm. And Sam says, I won't quit. I won't quit. We then move on to day 52. And it's a review for Alan of day 1 through 52. And a whole bunch of shots that hadn't been used up to this point. Then we move on to day 54. Sam, he's complaining about being dehydrated, no food, no sleep, not feeling good. Well, quick review for you, Sam. I was there for 10 weeks. And unlike you and Alan, I came out weighing more than when I went in. Just for your edification. And I didn't depart Vancouver Island until the 1st of December. So, he's talking about he came to have an epic adventure. I would say I agree, he arrived a boy. Question is, has he actually grown up? Then he starts doing the review of day 1 through 54 for Sam. At one point he says he doesn't think he can do one more day. then it switches to day 55. And the rescue team they start showing the rescue team arriving at the island, and I'm thinking, okay, which one tapped out? Sam was Sam. Sure enough. Alan wins 8 weeks, morning of the day 56. He's having a slug. Times 2 or 3, actually. And he's talking about knowing yourself. Then the medical rescue team shows up to Alan's camp on the pretense of they're there for a health check. They're taking his blood pressure, and they tell him what the reading is, and he says it's the lowest BP he's had. Might be because of the seafood diet he's on. Yeah, he sees food and he eats it. Well, sees bull kelp, he starts chawing on it, right? Well, there you go. Now, he's also talking about before that this whole thing started, his wife asked him what his biggest fear was. His answer was failure. Then the medical team says to him, Alan, we need to tell you something. And they tell him that he's the last man standing. And his first response is, really? So soon? He then starts talking about how he'd been planting a garden for the spring. Ha-ha. And he says, let's burn this place. Then he sees his best surprise of that day. His wife is with the rescue team. I'll tell you this much, folks. Man's got a looker of a wife. No doubt about it. As soon as he gets done hugging his kids, when he gets home, where does he go? He heads out to harvest his mushroom garden. Well, gentlemen, I don't want any of you to misunderstand anything I've said these 10 episodes. I salute your endeavor to better your position in life. I respect that you took a chance to go out into the wilderness to do it. I still question certain aspects of the entire show. And I think this is more on the heads of the producers than you. I still understand from the program itself, it shows very first thing that all 10 of you are trained wilderness experts. Now, from my own personal experience, and please understand, this is based on my own personal experience. 10 weeks on Vancouver Island, during roughly the same time frame you all were there. And I came out of the wilderness 20 pounds heavier than when I went in. So I have to question just how well trained you were before you got started. I'd never been to Alaska. I'd never been to northwestern Canada when I went to Vancouver Island. I went there on a dare. And the dare was for me to stay there for 5 weeks. I doubled it. And like I said, I came out of the wilderness 20 pounds heavier. And back then there wasn't an ounce of fat on me. So, please understand, this is my question. The producers asked you if you were experts in the wilderness. And for those of you who stayed more than 5 weeks, every one of you lost weight. How expert really were you? I'm saying this more for the everyday common man who thinks they might like to try this. You need a lot of training and a lot of understanding to pull something like this off and not nearly kill yourself doing it. Ask Alan, how many pounds did Alan lose? I think I heard him say something 30 or 40 pounds. I'm sorry, we've got a freight train decided to roll through my backyard. Let me give you a look-see. Noisy buggers, ain't they? Well, I think I'm going to cut this at this point. Any of you gentlemen who participated in a loan, if you think I've been too harsh on you, feel free to leave a comment down below. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions that you have. And be glad to hear your opinions. I've tried contacting a couple of you through YouTube, and neither of you have bothered to get back to me. Really? Really? Now, I asked Mr. Joe after he lost his ferrule rod a simple question. And it wasn't meant to be a troll question. It wasn't meant to be a stick in his eye. It was simply a question. Did he consider that an amateur mistake